Welcome back. I have finished this sculpture and you can see this is the dead cardinal and it was already stinking up my house, so I decided that I better hurry up and start the mold making process. The cardinal is a relief which I think is going to aid the way you're going to be mold making. The one thing I'm going to do is remove the feet, and I'm going to make like a cut here and a cut here. Hopefully I can pull it out and not have any issues. So that's one leg put back. Oh, look at that, I cut way too much. So, because I put a wire in there and the wire is kind of getting in the way, so I'm going to put this chunk back here. And I am going to take the wire and I'm just going to cut. It's a very easy wire to cut. And this clay should be easy to manipulate and put down. So now the other one, this is going to be my mother mold, like that. So I'm just going to put it here. Next thing I'm going to do is put some clay around here. You could also put hot glue. For the ceiling, I'm just going to be using water clay because it's cheap. And I'm just going to go around the cup on the outside. And like that. Okay, so this one is ready. One of the things we're going to do to this one to prepare is that we're going to make a wall with clay. And we're going to use this water clay. Spray, I'm going to spray it on. I don't know if I need it, but since I have not used JMac clay before for mold making, I don't know if this is going to hold, so I want to make sure that all of this is going to come out. See how much I've got in here. Yeah, just a tad bit more on this. And that's what we're going to be using. In this part, we're not going to mix anything into it. No thickener, so it's going to be straight up. And it's going to be a runny mixture. And now, all I'm going to do is mix this really well. And it's going to change color. You're probably not going to be seeing a lot, but you have to put a very thin coat. And if you guys remember, I've already put the sealant out, or the silicone spray. So make sure you get it into all the crevices. Make sure it's gonna. That's the thing with this system, is like so runny, and it just runs all over. You could also blow on it to remove the bubbles, but I think you don't really need to, from what I hear. Start going into the details of the sculpture. Okay, there we go. Just going to brush a little bit here on the side. All right. Now we have our little feathers here, and what I'm going to be doing this one is just pouring it in there, and I might have to mix another batch, but I'm just pouring it to the top of that claw to cover this. Almost made it. This is going to go here. Actually, maybe I'll put a little bit more here. So I'm going to put this away. Before I add another layer to this piece, you need to make sure that it's ready to accept the new layer. And I've been waiting around about an hour, and the way to tell is that you want it to not stick to your finger. So if you touch it, right now it actually sticks to your finger. There's my finger. So if it sticks to your finger, it's not ready. I'm gonna wait a little bit longer, probably 30 more minutes. After 45 more minutes, now I touch it and it does not come off my finger, and it's ready for another coat. So one of the things that you should get, and I've used this quite a bit, it's this polyfiber 2 that you mix in with the polyurethane to make it thicker. But first, before I add this, I'm just going to add another light coat of the polyurethane. So this is our second coat we've added on the bird. You can see I mixed in just a little bit of thickener, so it's a little bit thick, but not too much. You can still see like little strands of the thickener. And I put it on the bird. This time it's going to be more of a supportive type of layer. The next layer that we add is it's going to be very thick with the thickener, and we're going to be able to control the undercuts. And the undercuts would be like underneath the wing here. That's extremely important. Without that thickener there, the wing would be very brittle. And you can see the thickener, or at least the second coat, you should be able to tell here where it's going. And I can still move it around. It's just I don't want to do that. The more important thing is that the thickener and the new polyurethane coat went underneath the wing. This time I have a heavy stirrup, and I'm just going to pour it into this. And the reason I'm going to put it into a much bigger container is that we're going to mix the thickener. And the thickener is going to be extremely important, so we can start making it get into the undercuts extremely easy, instead of just kind of going around little bits at a time and building layers like you would do in a latex. Too much. So I'm going to use a heavy stirrup and a heavy plastic here, or a plastic liner for a bucket, and I'm just going to scrape the sides. You definitely want to use a mask when you are doing this. What you're doing is pouring a few cups of the powder onto here, and it's a very chalky sort of thing, and you have to mix it really well. I'm going to put a few coats of it. Cups, and you can see the mixture is sticking onto my trowel, and that's exactly what we want. One of the issues that we're going to have with this is getting the mixture right onto the sculpture, and I'm already dropping a little bit here. We don't want to drop it anywhere. This should be nice and thick, especially in the undercuts, and I'm trying to make sure that I push it in quite a bit. We want to make it nice and thick. we want to completely remove all the spots that are undercut. So an undercut would be under the wing here. See, if you look under this wing, there's a lot of space in here that we need to use. And you can see I'm getting quite a bit of coverage, and I'm trying to look where any of the imperfections. This has dried overnight, and I can now touch it. It's a little tacky on this second coat, but this one is pretty hard. What I'm going to be doing now is, you can see that the clay walls have kind of broken. I am going to be fixing it because we're going to make the mother mold. I don't know if I need it, but I'm going to put some silicone spray on the marble before I add the plaster. I have my plaster here, and it's quite a bit, so I'm going to add a little bit of water. And what I like to do is just mix it by hand. I don't have any more plaster wrap, so that's the reason I'm not going to use that. One of the things that people do is a technique of throwing the plaster, and I'll show you. If you take your bucket here, and after it's thoroughly mixed, I'm just going to make sure I mix it a little bit. You take your hand and you just go like this. And this works a little bit better if you have a mold that's up, because you can just kind of like throw it, but you get it all into all the pockets of detail. And this is a good way because it pops any possible bubbles shape, and it's already firming up. There we go. We're going to wait a little bit, and then we're going to come back and do another coat. Alright guys, now I've waited about 30 minutes. This thing is that you control a lot of the plaster so it doesn't go everywhere. I think that's the reason. Ever since I started using this system, I've made much better molds. And the reason I'm doing this is to kind of like straighten it out. And you can even do this to make sure everything gets in there. So I'm going to dip the burlap in here, make sure you get it really well, and you can start just applying it. I also need to thicken up the sides. That's the reason I mixed a batch of plaster, because I want these sides to be strong. That way, once I mold it, it won't break when I pull them off. Let's go ahead and work and get this thing out of here. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove this clay walls. it is kind of coming up already. So that's a relief. And I'm just doing it slowly at a time. And I don't want to break stuff. So you can see it moving up. And I'm just going to work it around. What I think I might do is to put maybe something here. It's actually peeling off. I'm surprised it's peeling off. It's this easy. All right, here we go, here we go. And that's the rear, and actually the mold is coming off, which is good. So if I turn it this way, let's get this out. Wow, all right, so the mold actually came out really well. Look at this. That's a pretty successful mold. Successful mother mold. And you can tell the only part that broke was right here. And I just pushed it in and kind of fixed it. So it did crack over here, cracked over there. But this should be good for our mother mold. This is coming out really easy, man. I don't want to jinx myself here. This is quite amazing that it's peeling off. So if you guys remember, I have the wing here and it's an undercut. And when I peel it off, I am pretty sure the wing is going to be removed. Bird, you didn't die for it. Oh, the bird's coming out. Oh, but look, this is surprisingly good. The sculpture actually ended up in fairly good condition. I am very surprised with this JMac clay, and I mean I can even make something else with this. I mean I'm very surprised. I'm actually very happy that it didn't completely destroy my sculpt. It's a fairly good mold. I'm going to go ahead and clean it all up. There's like a little imperfection there. Other mold is so I can do this, and it should be like a little bit easier to put this on here without tipping, so that way it'll stand out like this. It takes the shape of that. So here's the polyurethane in here, and we are going to be doing a cast to see how well it will do. It is just such a messy medium here. I might have to move it around too, because I want it to fill the holes. So right now it's not level, but I think I mixed in enough for this, so I'm actually kind of surprised. Alright, I've waited about 30 minutes. It's still very wet, but it's dry enough and it's hot, so the moisture, I guess, is leaving it. This one seems to be coming out fairly easy. I'm actually seeing some tugging at the sculpture or at the rubber on the sides. Wow, and it came out really easy from the mother mold. So I'm going to put this aside. I'm seeing a lot of texture. I'm seeing some damage already here to the bird. But I think it's just from my haste of wanting to get this out and seeing what it looks like. And there it is. So we do have some a little bit of damage to take care of, but I think it's a very aesthetically pleasing sculpt. With this polyurethane mold, I can make lots of these little sculptures. So if you guys are interested in getting one of these sculptures, I'm probably going to put a link eventually on the bottom of the video for the description. I'm going to start a little bit of an Etsy page to see if I can get some monies, and hopefully it's going to turn out well. The other thing that I didn't mention in the video is that I do have the legs that I will be casting separately, but I am going to wait a little bit on it because it's going to take some time to get it fully done. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.